The Soulsborne series is well known for its incredible depth and replayability. Each game offers unique challenges, intricate lore, and diverse gameplay systems that makes players want to return time and time again. But which Souls game stands out as the most replayable? Well, in this video I'm going to dive into what makes a game replayable, evaluate the series, and rank each title based on its replay value. Now, what defines replay value in Souls games? Replay value is what keeps players coming back to a game long after finishing it. In the Soulsborne series, several factors contribute to this: gameplay depth, story and lore, and player choice. Let's start with gameplay depth. Games with a variety of combat styles, weapons, and builds tend to feel fresh with each new playthrough. The flexibility of the series allowing players to experiment with different playstyles, from magic-based combat to dexterity builds that rely on precision and speed. Every weapon, spell, or piece of gear has unique properties, encouraging creativity in how challenges are approached. This diversity means that even familiar enemies and bosses can feel like fresh encounters when using a new strategy or equipment. Story and lore. The enigmatic storytelling in Soulsborne games encourages multiple playthroughs to uncover hidden lore and piece together the fragmented narratives. Often, significant details are hidden in item descriptions, environmental clues, or NPC dialogue, making replaying essential for a full understanding of the story. Alternate endings further incentivize players to revisit these games, as they can unlock different outcomes based on their choices throughout the whole journey. Each new run adds depth to the overarching narrative, deepening the appreciation of the world and its mysteries. Player choice. The series thrives on its ability to offer meaningful choices, whether it's joining covenants, forming alliances with NPCs, or deciding the fate of the world in the endgame. These decisions often alter the gameplay experience. Joining different factions unlocks unique rewards and introduces new challenges, adding layers of replayability. Additionally, the ability to approach levels in varied order, especially in games like Elden Ring or Dark Souls, keeps the experience feeling fresh. Now let's explore how these factors apply to each Soulsborne title and rank them. Let's start with Demon Souls. Demon Souls laid the foundation out for the entire series, introducing many of the mechanics and ideas that would define the genre. Its world tendency system is an interesting concept, encouraging players to revisit the game with different tendencies to unlock hidden paths and items. The game also offers a decent amount of build variety, but it doesn't reach the same depth as later entries. The level design, while innovative for its time, can feel uninteresting compared to the interconnected worlds of Dark Souls or the expansive landscapes of Elden Ring. The boss fights in Demon Souls are also a hit or a miss, and let's be honest, most of the time, at least in my opinion, they're a miss, with some feeling more like puzzles than true combat challenges. While it's an important piece of gaming history, Demon Souls doesn't offer as much replay value as its successors. But all that aside, I still do appreciate its charm and significance. Sekiro is a masterpiece of combat design, offering some of the best boss fights and gameplay mechanics in the series. Its parry-based combat system is incredibly rewarding, demanding precision and skill. The story is more upfront too, which makes it easier to follow compared to the other Souls games. However, Sekiro lacks the build variety that defines the rest of the series. With only one main weapon and no character customization, the replay value relies more on mastering the combat and unlocking all the skills. The game's boss rush mode, Gauntlet of Strength, and Reflections of Strength are excellent additions, letting players relive the best fights without starting a new playthrough. Sekiro's linear progression might turn away some players looking for exploration, but its focused design ensures every moment is impactful. While Sekiro doesn't have the same level of replayability as other Soulsborne titles, its combat and unique gameplay still make it worth revisiting occasionally. Dark Souls 1 is often celebrated for its interconnected world design, which remains a series highlight. The seamless transitions between areas make exploration a joy, especially on a first playthrough. The game also offers decent build variety, allowing players to experiment with different playstyles. However, Dark Souls 1's combat can feel dated compared to later titles. The lack of omnidirectional rolling and the slower pace definitely made me feel frustrated at times, because I'm so used to the fluidity of games like Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne. Additionally, long runbacks to bosses can make repeat attempts feel tedious. Despite these issues, Dark Souls 1's world and lore makes it worth revisiting. The sense of discovery and challenge remains strong even years after its release. Its status as the game that popularized the series also ensures its place in the hearts of fans. Basically, I'm just trying to say that the game is not bad, but for me, it's not the most replayable. Bloodborne's gothic horror setting and fast-paced combat make it a standout title in the series. Its world feels fresh and different from the other games, drawing players in with its rich atmosphere and intriguing lore. Many players replay Bloodborne to delve deeper into the mysterious story and uncover its secrets. While the weapon variety is more limited compared to other Souls games, each weapon has unique transformations and playstyles that makes them highly versatile. The combat speed and intensity are a refreshing change, encouraging players to stay aggressive and master the rally mechanic. Bloodborne's linearity might diminish its replayability for some, but it also makes the game easier to revisit. Chalice dungeons add an extra layer of content, though they can feel repetitive over time. These areas are procedurally generated and they offer unique challenges and rewards, extending the game's lifespan. Overall, Bloodborne's unique charm, fast-paced gameplay, and captivating story keeps players coming back for more, even years after its release. Dark Souls 2 stands out for giving players more freedom at the start of the game. Unlike the other titles, excluding Dark Souls 1 and Elden Ring, you can choose which path to take early on, creating a sense of adventure and exploration. The build variety is exceptional, with tons of options ranging from dual-wielding weapons to advanced magic builds. This variety keeps the gameplay fresh and encourages experimentation. One of the few unique features of Dark Souls 2 is within its New Game Plus mode, which introduces changes like additional enemies and altered boss fights. This makes replaying the game feel more rewarding as it adds an extra layer of challenge. However, the game isn't without its flaws. The combat feels sluggish compared to the newer titles, which can make it harder to return to after playing games like Bloodborne or Elden Ring. The boss design is also a mixed bag, with many fights feeling less inspired. Despite these drawbacks, Dark Souls 2's depth and New Game Plus mechanics earns it a high spot on the list. Dark Souls 3 is often praised for its fluid combat, which is faster and more refined than its predecessors. The game's linear level design may seem like a downside at first, but it actually makes it easier to jump back in for another playthrough. Players can focus on refining their skills and experimenting with different builds without feeling overwhelmed by too many choices. Speaking of builds, while the game doesn't have as much build variety as Elden Ring, it still offers plenty of options. From pyromancy and sorcery to dexterity and strength builds, there's enough depth to keep things interesting. The Covenant system adds a multiplayer aspect, letting players participate in PvP or co-op in unique ways. Dark Souls 3's bosses are another highlight. Many are designed to test your mastery of the combat system, making each encounter memorable and worth revisiting. Though the linearity might limit exploration, the game's polished mechanics and well-paced progression makes it one of the most replayable titles in the series, at least in my opinion. Elden Ring is the pinnacle of replayability in the Soulsborne series. Its massive open world offers unparalleled freedom, making every playthrough feel like a unique adventure. Players can explore countless regions, stumble upon hidden dungeons, and uncover secrets that are easy to miss the first time around. The sheer variety of builds and customization options is a huge draw, from powerful magic and ranged combat to melee-focused builds. Elden Ring has something for everyone. There's so much weapons and spells that people are even able to cosplay the most random character and it still makes sense. You also have Ashes of War, which can be placed onto different weapons, giving them more uniqueness. The flexibility of the leveling system and the diversity of gear mean that no two playthroughs need to be the same. The game's vast world also includes multiple endings, tied to intricate questlines that can change based on players' choice. This encourages exploration and experimentation, as many players won't uncover everything in a single run. Whether you're diving into the challenging bosses, engaging in PvP duels, or exploring its many side quests, Elden Ring's replay value is unmatched. With hundreds of hours of content, it's no wonder why many people, including myself, consider it the most replayable game in the series. Each Soulsborne game brings something unique to the table, and their replayability depends on what players value most. If you're looking for freedom and endless build variety, Elden Ring is a clear winner. For refined combat and accessible linearity, Dark Souls 3 is a strong choice. Dark Souls 2 offers experimentation and New Game Plus changes, while Bloodborne provides a distinct atmosphere and intense gameplay. The original Dark Souls remain a classic despite its slower pace, while Sekiro excels in combat but lacks diversity. Finally, Demon's Souls' foundational design is impressive but feels limited compared to the later titles. No matter which game you choose, the Soulsborne series guarantees an unforgettable experience. Which game do you think has the most replay value? Share your thoughts and let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good one.